Why are we getting old? Can we beat aging? Will we be able to overcome the greatest obstacle on the road to immortality? We have changed a lot since the first cell that said hello to life by going against the course of the universe. But one thing does not change: the survival instinct or the fear of death. Most of us do not even think of death when we are running around due to our obligations during the day. If our ancestors did as we do, we probably wouldn't exist with our obligations. Luckily, they didn't. They put their vital security before their every need. They put the oxygen masks on themselves, then on their offspring and other members of the group who were unable to wear them. But in the end, like all other living things, they had to face death. The survival instinct eventually turned into fear of death, because our ancestors were now aware of the reality of death. Being aware of death has separated us from other living things and introduced us to a completely different world, the world of myths. 1001 epics were created in the name of death and immortality, and they were pursued. From the loudest to the most unknown, their main goal was to achieve immortality. If we exclude the myths that dominate the world, almost all the remaining myths and epics speak of a substance or cure that, when used, prolongs life or leads to immortality. Unfortunately, the alchemists who have been chasing these epics since primitive times failed to reach their goals. But they left many ideas for the future. How much scientists use these ideas is debatable, but we are one step closer to immortality. Of course, we are talking about biological immortality because true immortality was found about 40,000 years ago, when a group of people scribbled something on the cave walls. Synthesis. The first stop on the road to immortality will be vitality. Because it would be nonsense to talk about death in a place where there is no life, and it is also nonsense to try to find a cure for death without dissolving life. Therefore, if we are going to talk about immortality, we need to talk about how life came into existence. The universe started from a small point and created a space that we cannot reach the end. We, too, are beings that exist in this space, going towards disorder within the rules of thermodynamics. But we are a little different from the inanimate. What makes this difference is our rebellion against the system and the universe flowing into disorder. The system we are talking about is mentioned in the second law of thermodynamics as closed systems tend to reach an equilibrium position. What is meant by the equilibrium position is the irregularity relationship with the environment. So long story short, closed systems tend to flow towards disorder. We are open systems, we can reduce our tendency towards disorder with the energy we get from outside, or in other words, by disrupting the order outside. But it's clear that we can't stop it, because in the end we die. Here, the most important point of death is our cells, whose irregularity increases over time. We only slow down this process with the energy we receive from our surroundings, and the ability to do this sets us apart from most inanimate objects. Energy. In fact, we are not conscious of this process and we exist because the works we do in line with this process are successful. It's probably a few fat molecules that start these things. We may owe our lives to the cellular structures formed by those fat molecules coming together on Earth or elsewhere in space. Elements are unstable. Therefore, they want to move to a stable structure as soon as possible. They do this by combining with other elements in their environment. The resulting compounds are also sometimes unstable and interact with other elements and compounds to become stable. Of course, not every interaction is positive, but our job is with those that do. Because those with negative results have failed in the first step towards vitality. Although the compounds that form long chains as a result of successful interactions have provided their stability to a certain extent, an effort to maintain order has now also been involved. They must maintain their order within the framework of the laws of physics. They do this by positioning themselves to keep their potential energies at the highest level. This positioning may be the structures that the compound will form with other compounds, or the structure that it will form alone. For example, fat molecules, to which we owe our vitality, have formed spherical structures with each other in order to keep their potential energies at the highest level. The structures formed by oil molecules, unlike most structures formed over time, provided an advantage and continued to exist. It is worth noting that these structures are not formed as a result of the preferences of molecules. Again, in the second law of thermodynamics, there is a judgment about this situation that the most likely thing happens when the number of particles goes to infinity. Cell. The effort to exist is within us at every moment of our lives. We want to make our presence felt by other people with an article we write, a word we receive in the group, or a composition we make. Survival is no longer enough for us to exist. However, existing for oil molecules does not go beyond preserving their physical integrity. They have also introduced different chemicals among themselves in order to continue their existence. Thus, they have become an open system by creating a much more stable structure. Open systems, as we mentioned earlier, are systems that try to reduce their own disorganization tendencies with the energy they receive from their environment. Now the next stage has been passed in the effort to exist, and an order must be established inside. The chemical assigned to ensure this order has been entitled to send copies of the system it is in to the next generations by fulfilling its duty properly. However, he never worked alone while achieving this success. Before and during each process he will be tasked with, the outputs formed after the process were checked by other chemicals, and errors were corrected. Systems with uncorrectable errors are left to the course of the universe. The systems that were successful in this series of processes created their own copies and announced their success to the whole world. Billions of similar systems combined to form us, and we named them cells. Get old. An open system is doomed to disappear after a while after cutting off its relationship with the outside. The same notion can arise when the microbial level systems that make it up are cut off from their environment. If a cell has come to a point where it can no longer survive, the main reason is that the stable molecules in the cell lose their stability for some reason. As we mentioned, open systems are in exchange with their environment, but this exchange does not always mean the intake of useful molecules into the system. In some cases, harmful molecules that can be taken from outside can disrupt the order of the entire system. Worse still, the systems around it can suffer as well. When our cells are faced with this situation, they digest themselves. Thus, the surrounding cells are not damaged and the physiological balance of the body continues to be maintained. The self-digestion of cells is called apoptosis. In fact, aging is nothing but the death of cells over time. Cells undergo changes over the years due to harmful molecules and transfer this change to the next generations. Although these changes are not fatal on a cellular basis, they can accumulate in other cells and be fatal in terms of organ physiology. Or it can be fatal on a cellular basis and can be seen in most cells in the organ. While cells that decide to protect their environment end their own life, they may not know that it will actually end the life of an organ. So what does time have to do with it? We have said that cells assign tasks to certain molecules to maintain the order of their internal systems. However, these molecules are also made up of atoms, and after a while, they begin to lose their stability no matter how much effort is made in the universe, which goes into disorder. When these molecules responsible for maintaining order become dysfunctional, the cell also becomes dysfunctional. This event occurs in most cells in the surviving organs over time, and over time the organs begin to become dysfunctional. We can call this process the aging process. Yes, aging is a process and unfortunately the end is death. What about immortality? Knowing much more details of all that we have told strengthens the hand of scientists working on the biology of aging. Knowing the cause of a problem is the most important step towards fixing it. 2015 was a year in which research on the aging process peaked. Scientists from all over the world have made progress in this field, and have gained a lot of new information about the causes of aging. In the light of this information, they came to the conclusion that the human lifespan is about 150 years. Of course, it is useful to approach this period with skepticism. However, reaching this promised figure may be possible in the coming years. What about immortality? Within the framework of the laws of physics, it seems that it will not go beyond a dream for now. Telomeres and cellular aging. Almost all functional molecules formed in our cells are encoded by our executive molecules, namely our genes, and are produced using these codes. Therefore, it is of great importance to focus on genes in research on aging. Genetic inheritance is provided by keeping genes together in structures called chromosomes. But not all regions of chromosomes contain coding genes. One of those regions is the telomere regions. Telomeres do not code for genes, but are located at the ends of chromosomes and prevent the ends of chromosomes from bonding with other chromosome ends, as well as preventing the DNA strands at the ends of chromosomes from breaking. The feature that makes telomeres relevant to cell aging is that DNA chains shorten during each cell division. Telomeres in mammalian cells can average 35 to 40,000 base pairs in length and shorten by about 100 base pairs with each division. What makes this important is that telomeres also contribute to cell division. The longer telomeres allow for more cell division, while the shorter the cell, the less likely they are to divide. This causes new cell formation to slow down and eventually the organ to age. In addition, telomeres do not shorten in every living thing. Living things like Tetrahymena and many plants have an enzyme called telomerase. This enzyme protects and sometimes lengthens telomeres when DNA is split, but unfortunately we humans do not have such an enzyme. Telomerases bring us unlimited cell division, that is, cancer, but if we manage to extend the telomeres when the time comes by using stem cells, or if we find a method like this, who knows, maybe the lifespan of humanity can be increased. More kids, longer telomeres. This mechanism has been known for a long time, and it was thought that the secret to slowing down aging lies in telomeres. One of the groups that made research based on this idea is from Simon Fraser University. The team led by Pablo Nepomniachtchi and Cindy Barha noted that having more children can lead to longer telomeres. The team recorded the number of children and telomere lengths of 75 female participants. Telomere lengths of the participants were measured at 13-year intervals. The findings showed that there is a relationship between the success of having children and having long telomeres. Nepomniachtchi says previous studies have claimed that having more children causes faster aging. But his own work claims the opposite. According to the team, this may be because the increased secretion of the hormone estrogen during pregnancy affects the length of telomeres. Mitochondria. There are many biological factors that cause aging. The shortening of telomeres was just one of them. A group of researchers from Newcastle University found that mitochondria also play a role in cellular aging. They go a step further and claim that their invention can extend lifespan. Mitochondria is an indispensable organelle in our cells that provides energy to the cell. The existence of a structure that can energize the system in an open system is a boon for evolutionary selection. However, like a normal cell, mitochondria age and become dysfunctional over time. While the team was investigating the genetic causes of cellular aging, some findings pointed to the importance of mitochondria. Then, when they removed the mitochondria from the cells, they were shocked by what they saw. Cells that have had their mitochondria removed react like young cells. So they were getting younger. The number of harmful molecules was reduced, as in the young cells. Dr. João Passos says his research shows that mitochondria are closely related to the aging process. However, the team does not yet know why. One of the research team, Dr. Clara Correa Mello, states that they are very close to developing anti-aging therapies. Marrow cells. Human bones produce yellow and red marrow. Red marrows produce new blood cells and yellows produce oil. After aging, the red bone marrow turns yellow and the body can no longer produce new blood cells. But in experiments, it was seen that when you give young blood to old mice, the mouse can become younger, that is, it can produce blood cells that bone cannot produce. If we were to do this experiment on humans, it is likely that we would reach the same conclusion. We also renew B and T lymphocytes. Cholesterol. Nir Barzilai, director of the Center for the Study of Aging at New York's Albert Einstein School of Medicine, conducts research on the ancestry of people aged 100 and older. One of Barzilai's conclusions was that HDL, known as the good cholesterol, was too high in these long-lived people. High-density cholesterol, HDL, which we all hear about often, acts as a kind of scavenger. It collects the stray lipid particles before they infect somewhere and takes them to the liver, and from there they are sent to the intestines as bile acid. Living healthy is no longer science fiction, it's science. According to Barzilai, the strongest candidate we have at the moment is the active substance called metformin, which is used by type 2 diabetes patients. This substance, which has been widely used for 60 years, is known to reduce risks such as cancer, diabetes, Alzheimer's, and heart diseases. Nir Barzilai states that the primary goal of the miracle drug that may emerge is not to stop aging, but to ensure that people age healthily, and says that preventing aging-related diseases would be the best approach, instead of wanting to reach immortality. Social life and aging. What triggers all these molecular processes is undoubtedly our daily life. The stress we face during the day is one of the situations that accelerates this process the most. Work stress, traffic stress, crowds. Overcoming all of this is essential for us as social animals. However, in the effort to overcome it, we wear ourselves and therefore our body a lot. At the end of a stressful day, we forget about the stress of the day by going out with our family or going somewhere with our friends. These activities are an opportunity for us to recover our bodies. A group of scientists from North Carolina University also share this view, and they say that to have a healthy body is as important as socializing, doing sports, and eating regularly, and a healthy body means living longer. In their research on young and middle-aged people, the team found that social individuals in both groups had better mental and physiological health. The only difference between the group was that among the youth, those with greater social connections did much better than those with less. In middle age, it was more important whether the social connections were tight or not than the number of social connections. In addition, according to the article published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, being social during youth protects the body from stress-related disorders at every moment of life. In the tests carried out by the team on individuals, socialization can also prevent aging-related disorders. In other words, socialization offers us the chance for a healthier old age and longer life. Research co-author Yang Claire says her analysis explains why medical professionals and countless scientists constantly emphasize the importance of forming close social bonds. Art is long, life is short. It is not known if one day there will be biological immortality, but humanity will never see that what it is looking for is right in front of its eyes. He always seeks it far away, in the sky or in the ground. However, man's effort to exist has already brought eternity to him. It is possible to reach eternity with a book, a poem, a composition, a theory, or an innovation, in short, a service it will provide to all people who have ever existed and will exist in the world. Maybe we owe this to people who start to scribble something on the wall, be it out of fear or love. At this level, scientific research will not be able to offer us anything more than to spend our old age more productively. Isn't that what really matters? Rather than living too long, living more efficiently. When we start living life productively, we will be one step closer to being immortal. Otherwise, is living forever really immortality? Thank you for watching the video. Don't forget to subscribe and like.